Oh, I'm in love. I feel I am in a romantic era where the world is a magic paradise where everybody falls in love. Oh, no, 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 lady. You are wrong. Come with me and I will show you the real romantic era. I will be so glad with you. Okay, Romanticism was an attitude or intellectual orientation that characterized many works of literature, painting, music, and architecture in Western civilizations over a period from the late 18th to the mid 19th century. It was also, to some extent, a reaction against the Enlightenment and against 18th century rationalism and physical materialism in general. Romanticism emphasized the individual, the subjective, the irrational, the imaginative, the personal, the spontaneous, the emotional, the visionary, and the transcendental.
Good afternoon, I'm Margaret. Welcome to the Romanticism Museum. Here I will talk about some of the major precepts have survived into the 20th century and still affect our contemporary period. Imagination was elevated to a position as the supreme faculty of the mind. Nature meant many things to the Romantics. As suggested above, it was often presented as itself a work of art, constructed by a divine imagination in emblematic language. Symbolism and myth were given great prominence in the Romantic conception of art. In the Romantic view, symbols were the human as aesthetic correlatives of nature's emblematic language.
I was born in London in 1757. I am a marginal member of the early Romantic movement. I really enjoy writing about the return to nature, idealization of women and children, an interest in the past, championing personal freedom, melancholy, the supernatural, and the occult, imagination and emotion.
I was born on the 7th of April, 1770. My parents died before I was 15, and since I was young, I developed the love of nature, a theme I reflects in many of my poems. The nature was the only place where one could truly experience the deep, powerful emotions from which true poetry emerged.
I am an English poet. I was born on October 21, 1772, in Devon, England. I stress the division between my own mind and the beauty of the natural world. I emphasize on the imagination, its independence from the outside world, and its creation of fantastic pictures such as those found in the rhyme. My depiction of feelings of alienation and numbness help to define more sharply the Romantics' idealized contrast between the emptiness of the city, where such feelings are experienced, and the joys of nature.
I was born in Dublin in 1751. I am a British playwright, orator, and politician. My family moved to England, and I was educated at Harrow School in London. I rejected a legal career for the theatre. My comedy The Rivals, 1775, introduced the popular character. Mrs. Malaprop established me as a leading dramatist. I began writing plays, and on the 17th of January, 1775, the Covent Garden Theatre produced my comedy, The Rivals. After a poor reception, it was withdrawn. A revised version appeared soon after, and it eventually became one of Britain's most popular comedies. Two other plays that I wrote, St. Patrick's Day and The Duenna, were also successfully produced at the Covent Garden Theatre. In 1776 I joined with my father-in-law to purchase the Drury Lane Theatre for £35,000. The following year he produced his most popular comedy, The School for Scandal. In 1780 I abandoned the theatre to enter Parliament, where he gained a reputation as a fine orator. I became one of the most brilliant orators of that time.
I was born on November 10, 1730, in Kilkenny, West Ireland. I traveled for many years, until settling in London, in 1756. It was here that I finally turned to literature and my career too. I drew almost all of my information from the work of other naturalists. I set out with a very romantic goal in mind. I had first planned to translate Pliny's natural history, and then, after reading Buffon, I decided that the best imitation of the ancients was to write from our own feelings and to imitate nature.
I was born on August 15, 1771, in Edinburgh, Scotland. From my earliest years, I was fond of listening to my elderly relatives' accounts and stories of the Scottish border, and I soon became a voracious reader of poetry, history, drama, and fairy tales and romances. I was the best read, best reviewed, and best paid poet of the Romantic period.
I was born on December 16, 1775. When I was a child, I started to write novels for my family. Some of my first works, written from 1790, were published in the book Love and Friendship. My works are characterized by the meticulous details, and my prominent figures belong to middle class and provincials, whose major ambition is the marriage. My characteristic issue is the extent of maturity through the loss of illusions. Because of my sensitivity to universal patterns of human conduct.
I was born in Londres, on 30 August 1797. My mother died when I was only 11 days old and I was brought up by my father. I met my future husband Percy Shelley when I was 16 and we ran away to France. I gave birth to 4 children with only one surviving. On stormy night I and my husband challenged each other to write a ghost story and the tale of Frankenstein was born. This book is a product of the Romantic era with Gothic elements, glorifies the natural world and is a warning about man trying to act like a god and uncover and use nature's secrets for his own purposes. With the past of the time my husband died when his sailing boat sank during a storm. So I returned to England devoting my son and my writing.
And those are one of the most important poets, playwrights, and novelists from the era. I consider all those authors are romantic writers because they were based on their personal experiences to create their stories.
Thank you so much for your information. It was very helpful for me. Thanks. Presented by Melissa Castrillo
Juliana García
and Jennifer Valencia.